We used to be in the streets all night long. We wouldn't play hooky. We wouldn't go to school, okay? But then I moved in with my stepdad. All of that nonsense stopped.
Hi, my name is Rowena Poitier-Sutherland, and you're tuned in to the Soul Center podcast. This is more than a podcast. It's really a space for you to sit, listen, and connect with self. Today, we have a wonderful guest. He is my friend. I call him my big brother. He's a renowned scientist and a brother of the soil from the Bahamas, where I'm from. I am pleased to present Ramesh Maragh. Ramesh, welcome.
Thank you so much, Biggs. Little sis Rowena. It's wonderful to be here. Wonderful.
So we're here to talk about young people, young men specifically today, because like I mentioned before, you're a renowned scientist, but you're here in the Bahamas to do something truly unique and special. You're giving back to the community by being a mentor.
Yeah.
So I want to let our viewers and our listeners know what's happening here. There is an organization of which I'm a part called the Roots of Change Organization. It's an NGO in the Bahamas, and it exists to create safe spaces for children, for youth, and for women. And we create sustainable programs. Our first sustainable program is a mentorship program called the Mirror Mirror program. And men journey with boys from the children's home and the urban communities for a period of 3 years. And that data is tracked and analyzed. And this is a powerful program. And you're one of the mentors. So can you tell us about your participation in this program and why you chose to do it?
I love the vision of the program. And as a boy who was deeply broken at a very early age, losing his biological father and experiencing the pain of that, and having to process all of those emotions of going from having a lot to having nothing, and having to learn how to survive and how to deal with all of those things that I was feeling at that time, and to look at where I am today, I think it's very important to give back. The Bahamas has contributed so significantly to bringing me to this point by providing educational opportunities, and as well as the rich culture that we do have. And so it was just natural, and it was just important that I gave back. It was just natural.
Yeah, and I think you've just given us a glimpse into your origin story. I always like to ask that question. What is your origin story, your why, your reason that you're on this path? You said you look at where you've come. So we want to discover where you have come from and where you are now. Can you tell us a bit about that, please?
Absolutely. So my name is Ramesh Maragh, which is not a Bahamian name. It's an Indian name. And if we understand that our Bahamian women are beautiful and cultured, and so back in the 70s, they used to have Jamaicans and Jamaican Indians that used to come to the Bahamas to work. And my aunt worked at Ministry of Tourism, and she was married to a Jamaican man. And so she had a party, and my mother was her best friend, and she had my future dad come to this party, and they met. And then you all sweet Bahamian women, you all know how to get these folks, you know? And so my father was Jamaican Indian, and that's how I got this Indian name. But I am a Bahamian to the core.
Wow.
I've been gone from the country for over 30 years, but I never lost my accent.
Where are you based now?
So I'm based in North Carolina. But when I left in 1989, I graduated from the College of Bahamas, and then I went to Tuskegee University. And at that time, I was declared to be an electrical engineer, but that was not what was in my heart. So we're talking about what is inside of you. And my parents wanted me to be an electrical engineer, but when I went to the United States, I said, I can't do it. And so I had to listen to that inner voice, and I always wanted to create things, make good products for people. So I became a chemical engineer. And when I did that, I mean, it just lit up my soul. And I started to really put in the effort to be excellent. And so, you know, we go back. My father died when I was 8 years old, and it got real. It got very real. It went from, you know, we used to go to Jamaica often. And, I never knew about being hungry or being worried about where food was going to come from to, we had to go and live in Mason Edition where it was real.
So for those who are not from the Bahamas and don't know what Mason's Edition is, can you tell us what that is?
So Mason Edition would be equivalent to being in the inner city in the United States, which is ghetto. Very hard area, hard life. A lot of homes didn't have running water. So at an early age, I had to learn how to tote water. You had to go to the pump.
Okay, let's back that up.
Yeah.
So people may not know what toting water is. That's a very Bahamian colloquialism.
Yeah, yeah. So
you used to tote water.
I used to tote water. Mean? So what that means is you didn't have running water in your house. And if you want bathe, take a bath.
Translation, bathe.
Or you want wash your clothes, or you want to cook your food, you had to walk down the street with a bucket or little bottles, and you had to go to the pump and push that pump, and water would come in those containers, and then you had to lift it and go back to your house. Okay? Yeah, so you had to...
So you would walk with containers of buckets,
that's
I'm
right.
guessing, of
that's
water.
Right. That's right.
To your home. And I know some people used to transport them on their head.
That's right.
It's popular for your head as well as carrying them.
I didn't have that balance. No, I used to take it in my hands, and if a neighbor had like a trolley, then you'd borrow the trolley, and take the trolley and then load it up and push it back,
Wow.
So we had to tote water, and also I learned about the outside toilet,
AKA toilet.
The toilet, yes, and
you can say toilet. That's okay. We'll let the audience know.
And then you had to bathe outside in your aluminum tub. So all your neighbors could see your business, And if you wanted hot water, you put the water outside and let the sun warm it up. You had no heater to heat up your water, So it got real. And I think, I'm a man, I believe in God. And I think that if we believe the scripture, God has a plan for all of our lives, and we don't understand it in the moment. But when you go through your life and you look back, you start to understand it, So that was a very tough time, but it was a wonderful time because it really ingrained in me the Bahamian culture and identity of where we were a community. We didn't have to have a lot, but what we had a lot in terms of our spirit, where everybody knew each other. If I got out of hand, I would get disciplined by my neighbors, and my mother wouldn't carry on. In fact, I'd get another one when I got home, So it was really a community base, It wasn't that prideful thing. Oh, that's my one good son, Oh yeah, you're embarrassing the family name, boy. So it wasn't all of this nonsense, I think all of it is nonsense today, how we pet and play with these children, right? We have to set the path that they have to follow. And it's really important for one generation to develop the next.
Yeah.
And
Speaking to that path, as a mentor, tell me the importance of a man modeling what healthy masculinity is.
Wow, that's such a profound question. And I was very blessed and fortunate that I had a wonderful I got adopted by a wonderful stepdad, and he was a no nonsense man. So my late brother and me, we used to run our mother raggy. She couldn't handle us. She couldn't handle us. And so the streets were starting to raise us. And when my stepdad took us in, Rowena, we used to be in the streets all night long. We wouldn't play hooky. We wouldn't go to school. Okay. But when I moved in with my stepdad, all of that nonsense stopped. So we used to have to go to bed at 7:30 p.m. And he laid down structure. And he told me what the rules were. And he applied those rules. He beat me one time. But the force behind his words, they would gut me like a fish. And it is because of him challenging me. When I did something stupid, he would tell me. He didn't care about my feelings. He didn't care about me crying. He said, boy, suck it up. I'm not teaching you to be a wimp. I hate to say it, but I'm going to say this. I'm not teaching you to be a sissy. I'm teaching you how to process your emotions as a man. I'm teaching you how to be a leader because you are the future. And I mean, he said something to me that was so profound when I was a little boy. He said, son, no matter how much a woman loves you, your mother, a woman can't raise a boy to be a man. And I was confused at the time, but I completely understand what he means now, because the things that he used to say to me back then, I appreciate it now. Because I could hold myself accountable on a job. If I have a tough conversation with my boss and they say something to me that I don't like, I don't lose my cool. I don't cuss them like a dog. I listen. And I find that so many people fold up when they have hard conversations. And it's because that development of that muscle, that emotional intelligence to handle criticism has not been developed, right? So, you know, when people get into conflict, they hold feelings. The first instinct is they want to cuss you out. They want to get into a fight. And now we see this proliferation of murder in our society because we don't understand how to have hard conversations and how to leave it and how to forgive and to move forward.
Forgiveness, that's a big one.
That's it. You know, so in terms of modeling, I think, you know, the previous generation, they were hard, but it was because it was necessary. It was necessary. I mean, I think as we have evolved, I mean, certainly I'm not as, how could I say it? I'll say it. I'm not as close-minded as my dad, because, Lord of mercy, back in the day when I had, I know a big topic today is LGBT stuff. When I had like gay friends, you say, boy, what the heck? Yeah. It was no tolerance for it, Rowena. It was no tolerance. But, you know, I'm not like that. I mean, hey, what you do in your room is your business. My issue is, don't you try to pass it down to children. You know, keep that to yourself. So I think I have a different mindset when it comes to that.
Yeah. So what are you hoping to impart on the boys in the Mirror program?
What I hope to impart to the boys really is discipline. I hope to redefine the definition of success. I think that success is being equated to material wealth, status, you know, how good I dress, how good I look. But inside of you, you're empty. I want to impart character development. I want to change the mindset from instant gratification to delayed gratification, that you set a goal, it's far into the future. You may not see it today. You may not see it next week or next month or next year. But you keep walking and making small, steady steps. And you discipline yourself, or you humble your heart, and you'll get there.
You know, I was not familiar with the term delayed gratification until college. You know, I think that's such an important lesson to impart.
Absolutely. And I think so. You know, when the program started on Monday, you know, it was the 5 action words. It was, what was it? Accountability, respect, discipline. I think those are very powerful words.
Yeah.
But what do they mean? And how do we apply them? And so I want to teach these young men what that means. You know what I mean? Because certainly for me, it hasn't been an easy path. And one thing I'll say is, you know, we live in a world where there's always comparison. But comparison is the thief of joy. You have to stay on your own path.
All right, talk to me now.
You have to stay on your own path. You know, and you know, all of us are gifted in different areas. We cannot all be basketball players. We could have that dream and, you know, aspiration. I remember being in Mason Edition. I remember as a packing boy, man, I run home to watch the NBA playoffs. Because, you know, back in the days, it used to be Boston versus LA. And everybody back in the day was a Laker fan. And, you know, you'd look
back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Some people are still Laker fans.
I'm still a Laker fan. But, you know, you look at the money those basketball players made. And I mean, I was one of them knuckleheads. I wasn't no basketball player, but my behind would be on the basketball court, running up and down, dreaming I could make the NBA because I could be able to take me and my mother out the ghetto. You know what I mean? But it was unrealistic. And you know, I still had to put my time into study and you know, do my books. And my mother wasn't having me smoking no joint and getting drunk and, you know, having sex, and getting no younger pregnant, so she was on my case. So, eventually, I was a typical teenage Bahamian boy. We love to party in the country. I party. I want drink, I have fun. And back then I was a pretty, handsome in shape fella. I had no trouble. I had no trouble. I had no trouble with the ladies. And so, we was having a good time. But, God is so amazing, because I was in COB and I
College of the Bahamas.
College of Bahamas, yes, which is now University of Bahamas. But I was fortunate enough to go to St. Anne's, but I didn't really apply myself to academics in St. Anne's. I was too busy fighting for survival, because I had my stepdad, but sometimes my stepdad would make me really mad. So I'd say, you know what, I don't need to live here. I go in together with my mother. I don't need it, because I never really loved things. I love principle, and I don't care how hard life get or how easy it get. I can just keep moving.
Yeah,
and so. I was in St. Anne's, and I didn't want to come out of St. Anne's. My mother wasn't really working, so I got a job as a parking boy, and I worked to pay to keep going to St. Anne's, because that's where I was. So like I said, honestly, I could have cared less about academics. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be an athlete, so I used to be a really good distance runner in the high school. I wanted to play basketball. I was playing ball. I was average. I was a good role player. Mm-hmm. I'd play that tough defense on you. I'll grab a rebound. And if someone need to get a good hit, they look at me, they say, it's a pretty boy. He's soft. He can't hit, but I'd hit the hell out of you.
Wow.
I'd get hit right back, but I could have handled it, So, but I went to Palmdale Primary, and I had an amazing 5th grade teacher named Miss Carey. And she back in the day, the teachers really cared about us. It wasn't about meeting a quota or how much you get paid. They really cared about us, and we really had to learn. So my primary school education is what took me throughout my St. Anne's career academically. But in the environments that you're in, St. Anne's was a really good school. And so, just listening, even if you didn't apply, you would learn something.
Yeah.
But when I went to so fortunately, I always knew when I had to kind of apply the pressure to go to the next level. So I knew I had to do GCE, and I knew. What are GCEs? The General Certificate of Education, O levels back in the day.
Mm-hmm. In the British system.
Exactly, in the British system. So in the American system, they do the SAT, the Standard Applied Test or whatever, to go to college. But back then, I never used to dream about college, because I was poor, was dirt. I didn't even know college. Back then, I wanted to be a pretty boy. So I was like, I gave me one bank job. You know what I mean? And to get a bank job, you had to get a couple of GCEs. So, I started applying myself maybe 6 months before it was time to do the exam.
Wow.
And I got enough GCEs. And unfortunately, my stepmom, man, she wouldn't leave me alone. She wouldn't leave me alone. She was on my case, and she was like, so, she was Jamaican too. And she would be like, Ramesh, you have to apply to the college, and you have to get your education. My baby mom, leave me alone. I ain't into all of that, because I was a little rebel. I just was having a good time. I was, I used to get bust up partying, and alcohol has diminished your self-control, So I would be like, Mama, I for that, man, don't bother me. But she wouldn't leave me alone, and I had to apply to go to College of Bahamas, and Ministry of Education saw that I got those GCs, so they provide me and I was doing a technical program. They provided me a scholarship. They gave me a stipend. So I was like, oh, that's great. But my silly behind in COB, I was just studying. I was getting drunk every day.
Wow.
Trying to dock everything that moved. I was flunking out. So I had to go to the academic advisor. I go on to the academic advisor, and I was embarrassing my stepmom, because my stepmom was the dean of natural sciences at the College of the Bahamas. Yeah. Oh yes, I was her son. So I was embarrassing her. But I could have cared. I was having a good time. But boy, when I go to the academic advisor office, Row. When I opened the door and I look, it was my 5th grade teacher, Miss Carey.
Stop.
So I said, oh Lord Jesus, I in trouble. So when you're in trouble, for us men, when you get a little tingling feeling, and I don't want to piss up myself. So I say, oh Lord Jesus, I in trouble. I say I in trouble. So boy, Miss Carey look at me, she say, I know when I see this name, it ain't plenty people would have this name, and I know I had my Ramesh from Palmdale, but my Ramesh was a smart boy. He wasn't no boy who would have had no academic trouble. She jumped from behind her desk, and she run to me, and she ring my ears. She said, what you doing? You crazy? You flunking out of school? Because you getting drunk and you trying to grind everything would move? No, that's unacceptable. And she straightened me right out, bro. And guess what? I said, I'm sorry, Miss Carey, I'm sorry, because you had this reverent fear. And fear is not that you're afraid, it's that you love someone so much that you would not want to hurt them. And they put these standards inside of us. And they held us to those standards. And Miss Carey is like, no, you performing way under the standard that we put inside you. And I was like, Miss Carey, I'm sorry. You're right. And she said, you can graduate on time from COB and you can graduate with honors. I said, yes, Miss Carey. And that's exactly what happened. And so, God places these significant people in your path to get you on track. And so, it was because of Miss Carey that I did graduate on time. And then when I did graduate, she said, so now what's the next step? I said, I know. She said, the next step is you going to college in the States and we can make it happen. I said, okay. She said, so you got to go write the essay and I'll look at your essay. I said, okay. And at that time I was in love with this girl and she was going to go to school in Atlanta. So I said, okay, I will go to school in Atlanta. And her and my mom, they plot. And they said, he ain't going to cook no school in no city. We can put him in a little quiet place. So they look at Tuskegee, Alabama, which was not far from Atlanta. But it was like an hour and 45-minute drive. If you had a car, 4-hour drive on the Greyhound bus. And so I applied to go to Tuskegee. And because of Miss Carey, she said, you could apply for Ministry of Education scholarship. You could apply for Life and Key scholarship. And I got those scholarships. Wow. So, God.
So you went from completely failing to getting all of these scholarships and accepted into university.
Absolutely. And actually, the Holy Scripture says that a righteous man will be known by his faith. The just will live by their faith. And faith is what we hope for, the substance of things hope for, the evidence to come. So, back then, Atlanta was a popular destination for Bahamians. Everybody named Ma was going to Atlanta. So I used to be like, man, I'd love to go see Atlanta, because, we are people, we love whatever anybody else doing.
And your gal was there.
My gal was there, yeah, oh yeah. So, but it's say we walk by faith, not by sight. So I never, like I said, I never used to think about college because I couldn't afford it. But the Lord knows our path, and He provides the way. We just have to trust. And I said all of that to say because when I applied to go to Tuskegee, I didn't get my acceptance letter yet, and it was almost time to go. And I did get some scholarship money, but I still needed additional money to go to make the trip. And my stepmom, this was a turning point in my life. My mom, my stepmom, she took me to, it used to be Barclays Bank in Harbor Bay. And she said, I want to get us a loan for my son to go to university. $5,000. And she got it. And I didn't get my acceptance letter. So, we go to Miss Carey. It's almost time for the university to start. And my mom was like, but Miss Carey, the acceptance letter is not here yet. Miss Carey's like, Mrs. Knowles, relax. Let him go. He could go. He could hunt down the acceptance letter. And if he don't get accepted now, he'll go in the fall. In the fall. And at least if he go now, he'll get to see the campus. He'll see where he's going. But he'll be fine. So I didn't have the acceptance letter. So we walking by faith, not by sight. I'll never forget it, Ro. It was a Friday. My mom went to school in London. She was a nurse, and she became a sister in London, and she had this big old trunk. Lord Jesus, the trunk weighed more than me.
Wow.
And it was heavy. And she said, Ramesh, you don't need no luggage. You can pack your stuff in the trunk. I was like, Mom, you're killing me. But I wouldn't fuss and fight with her, because she just knew how to soften me up,
Mm-hmm.
And so I had this big luggage trunk to take with me. So anyway, when I left that Friday afternoon, she dropped me off. She said, Ramesh, here's this $5,000. I trust you. Honor it.
Wow.
She got me, bro. She got me. And I remember going through the immigration and customs, and when the U.S. Immigration guys like, where you going? And I'm like, I was 18, but I never really traveled by myself, okay? I was always with, someone older who would do all of that for me. And the door is like, you ain't a little boy no more. You're a man, so you got to talk for yourself. I was like, oh, okay. So anyway, when I got on the Delta jet to go to Atlanta, I feel the left pocket and I feel that gunk. I said, well, mother freeze. This real. This ain't a dream. And I burst out crying. I say, my mom would put her neck on the line to send me to college. I say, boy, you gotta stop effing around and you gotta focus and you gotta discipline yourself and you gotta study. And you're gonna see what God put inside of you. And Ro, that's exactly what I did. When I went to that campus, Ro, I tell you, we used to be shy back in the haircut, everything pressed. And I didn't plan to go on a limo, but I got a limo from Montgomery, Alabama to take me to Tuskegee. And when I pull up on that campus, it was like I was a celebrity. So when them chicks.
How did you get a limo?
Man, I just pull up in Montgomery. I go on outside. I say I need a cab. And so I told the guy, when he pulled up, he had a limo. Yeah, I didn't know why. He just pulled up in a limo. And he say, Tuskegee is like 30 minutes away. He said it can cost. I said, I care about the cost.
Wow.
I say, yeah. So when he pull on the campus road, man, I mean, when I pull out, when I come out, the girls was running by in the daggone car. They giving me their number and thing.
Wow.
And I tell you back then, I was a monster.
I could believe that.
But I say, you know what? Inside of me, I say, you know what? It's either you invest your energy in chasing women and get a little piece, or you invest your energy in studying. I say, nah, I ain't gonna fear my mother boy. Nah, I ain't for that. So I start partying. I start studying. And I start excelling. Yeah. And my mom wasn't like a typical Bahamian parent that, like, if you did good, like, they'd give you like rewards, like, these things. She was, she was kind, but she wasn't like a regular Bahamian parent. She was a Jamaican, okay, who believed that you're supposed to do well in school. That was the expectation. And so you need no reward. You just keep living and enjoy your life. You have a safe home, you get food, you're all right. But when I came home, like Christmas, and I showed her GPA, I got a 3.9.
Yeah.
Oh, Ramesh, I'm so proud of you. She said, take this $100 and take your girlfriend out. I was like, oh, Jesus. Oh, boy. So I was fired up, So, I mean, I made some key critical decisions. Like I said, I changed my major. I listened to the voice in my heart, the path. I rebelled against my parents. I didn't want to be an electrical engineer. That was not what I was called to do. And I made that change. And I mean, it wasn't painful to study. But it was so funny because like a lot of the core curricula was what we had to do to be an electrical engineer. But because it was what I wanted to do, it wasn't painful, And so as we transition now, where I have my own children, I don't force them down any path. I just guide them and I say, hey, figure out what's inside of you and I'll help you. Because I don't want my children rebelling. I mean, rebellion is a natural part of growing up, but I don't want to contribute.
You want them to know that they have a safe space with you and they can trust that and that you want what they want.
Exactly. And so as we transition to the Mirror program, I know how much love was invested in me as a little boy in the Bahamas when I didn't have a support system. Like I said, my primary school teachers, people, my neighbors in the community, just the community back in those days, it was a loving place. It was a loving place. And I mean, that was what it was to be a Bahamian, you know. I didn't need to have a bunch of money. I mean, hey, that's Wonder Boy. Hey, feed the boy. You know what I mean? You could go anywhere. You could go anywhere.
You had a powerful journey.
Yes.
So I'd like you to do something for me now. And I try to do that consistently on the show. I want you to look at that camera and I want you to speak to your son.
To my son.
To your son. And what do you want him to know? Speak from your heart. Tell him, give him a message.
All right. Son, life is a journey. It's not a bed of roses, but it's not always painful. It takes endurance. It takes patience. It takes resilience. Some days you're going to be up and some days you're going to be down. But you have to keep a cool and level head to navigate and to keep going forward. And just know that once you trust and believe in the invisible God, He will lead you and guide you along the path. And even though you will, you will walk through the valley of the shadow of death, fear no evil, because the good Lord is with you. I have lived it. I still fight many battles. But through it all, tests become testimonies and mess becomes messages. So take the beatings and don't despise them. Value and treasure them, because they are what build and chisel your character. And it's really your character that will sustain you through the course of your life so that you could withstand the storms of life. And that is really my message to you. And stay true to your core. Don't pay attention to what the masses are doing, because that M will eventually disappear. And you don't want to be a mass without the M in front of it. Okay? So stay true to your core.
Beautiful message. Ramesh, my brother, thank you for getting centered with me. Appreciate you.
Pleasure. Wonderful pleasure. Orchid Island.
Orchid Island. And thank you for getting centered with me. This is the Soul Center Podcast.